Let me just take you guys behind the curtain for a second, just for a little, because I wasn't in the room for much more than a second before I walked out this morning. When you do a radio show, there's a couple of ways to do a radio show. You could actually just walk in the studio, throw out a phone number, and take calls all day with no structure, or you can have at least a semblance of direction. Now, you don't want it to be too structured where it's not organic at all, but you at least have to have a roadmap as to what the next 4 hours will entail. So I get in early. I'm having my coffee. Me and Hoff are rapping. I walk out of our studio for a second. Tiki's back in. I come back in, and what I heard was truly the most preposterous.
It was like I slapped you across the face.
Dumbest.
It was almost like you were on the Angels and playing fantasy football, and Mike Trout is a bad commissioner, made you lose money.
Offensive.
And I just smacked you.
Outlandish statement. I walked out of the room. So by all means there, Mr. Barber.
It was not a definitive
Please enlighten
statement.
us.
It was a speculative statement. Here's what we've seen, BT. The New York Mets are on a ridiculous run right now. We know what their record is, 34-17, 17 games above 500. They are 10.5 games up on the second-place team in the division. Now, again, some of this is because the division is faltering. Both the Braves and the Phillies are sub-500 right now, and part of that is because they played the Mets so many times. But still, the division has been weak, but the Mets are dominating their division right now. We keep talking about that they need an extra bat. They need a bat if they want to compete with the Dodgers or be one of the best teams in baseball. But they score runs at will. They had another 10 spot they put up last night. And over the last 8 games.
Are they going to play a major league team anytime soon?
They've scored 72 runs. They're scoring 9 runs a game. And some of those obviously were against the Phillies and the Nationals, who were terrible. But they also did this against the Giants. They put up double digits against the Giants as well, who were a very good team out west. My point is, this team has a ton of resiliency and talent, and maybe they have an opportunity to do something that we haven't seen in New York baseball in a long time. I'll further this, BT.
Okay.
You have a kid come up, Plummer. Nick Plummer comes out of nowhere, right? I mean, maybe we knew who he was a little bit. He was staying in the St. Louis
Nobody
farm
knew who
system.
he was.
Nobody. I mean, if you follow baseball elitely and you remember, oh yeah, that kid was drafted in 2015 in the first round. Oh, I remember that kid. Maybe you had an inkling of who he was. He comes out of nowhere a couple of days ago. He bangs 2 home runs. Nick Plummer. Nobody knows who the hell this guy is. Luis Guillerme. Right? Good player, utility guy, can bounce all around, plays great second base, as we saw a couple days ago. He played third, he played first. You can throw him wherever you want.
Cata could play a little center field in the pinch.
Dude's hitting
bat lead off.
365.
Yeah, he's having a great. I love him.
365. This is Luis Guillerme.
Okay, don't obscure what I walked out of the room
I'm
on.
setting this up. I'm setting it all up.
All right.
Right? You know,
all right.
Jeff McNeil, he's back to playing the way that Jeff McNeil used to play. I don't need to hit 40 home runs this year. You know, I'm just going to try to lead the league in hitting. He's hitting 318. He's consistent. He's amazing. Francisco Lindor a year ago was about ready to get run out of the building because of his acrimony with the fan base, and now here he is. He was player of the month. Player of the week last week.
Yeah.
This is Lindor.
Boy, the Mets couldn't wait to send out that picture of him, right?
Yeah,
and by the way, rightfully so.
Of course, he had an RBI.
But they heard all the negative energy.
But he had an RBI in 8 straight games.
No, it's 9 now.
Oh, now
which,
it's
by
9.
the way, Mike Piazza had 10,
Right.
and he had 15 once.
There
I
you
think
go.
Bobby Bonilla had 10 as well. Keep going.
My point is, you're going through all of these guys. And Pete Alonso's doing what Pete Alonso always does, just mashing home runs and being a callous. You could go through the lineup and find a guy who has performed and helped them win a game. Even Robinson Cano back in the day, back in the early part of the season, dropping down a bunt to get the thing started. There's just something different about this team, right? And I can't sit here and point to, well, Nick Plummer was a great prospect, and of course I knew that he was going to do this when he came to the New York Mets. Oh, Luis Guillerme, of course I knew he was going to hit 365 in 98 games or whatever, 98 at bats or whatever it may be. Nobody could have predicted this. So there's something else that's happening around this team. There's something else that's allowing
Quit beating around the bush.
BT, I'm a storyteller. There's something else that's allowing every single player on this Mets team to thrive. And I'm talking about their pitching staff as well. right? Williams yesterday, he gets some 5 innings. He's amazing, right? It's almost like
it's the Nationals, dude.
It doesn't matter.
I mean,
BT.
amazing's a little strong.
It doesn't matter. He's the replacement to the replacement. Okay. Tyler McGill had to replace Jacob
until those
deGrom.
guys come back, he's
okay, and they're not, and they're not even here yet. Mm-hmm. Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer are not even a part of this team right now, and they have the best record in baseball, tied for number of wins with the Dodgers and with the Yankees. Actually, the Dodgers only have one less.
Did you see what the Yankees did to the best offensive
I'm not talking
team,
about the Yankees.
I'm just telling you. They played the
Yankees.
Nats last night again.
I'm talking about the New York Mets.
Okay.
The New York Mets have a shot, and especially if DeGrom comes back and he's Jacob deGrom. And Max Scherzer comes back, and he's Max Scherzer.
A shot for what?
Two of the best pitchers in baseball. Forget in Mets history, in baseball. This team is crafting themselves to be one of, if not the best team in Mets history, BT.
Okay.
Now, I know you're going to sit here and get all upset about the 1986 New York Mets.
That's probably where I'm going to start.
And Darryl Strawberry. So that team was uber talented.
The 86 Mets
BT.
would destroy this team.
They won 108 games. They were amazing. They had from Gary Carter to Darryl Strawberry to Keith Hernandez to Mookie, all of them. You can name them all. They were amazing, but it was a different type of construction. It was a team that relied on all those stars to be their stars. And by the way, they were. It's why they won 108 games. It's why they bested the Boston Red Sox in the World Series and got their championship. But I'm saying about this Mets team, it's different. It's not about the individual. I mean, it is, obviously, but it's not about the individual. It's about the team. This team, not the individuals, not the guys that are going to be Hall of Famers. Luis Guillermo is not going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm just telling you right now, it's not going to happen.
Thanks for the heads up.
I'm just telling you, right?
I wasn't sure.
Nick Plummer's not going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm just telling you.
Probably right.
Francisco Lindor, maybe. Pete Alonso, maybe if he mashes forever. Starling Marte's out of nowhere. Dude, he's clutch.
Where do I start?
This team has the inklings of one of the great teams in Mets history, BT, because it's a team. And there's something else that's not stat-based. It's something that's not like
stuff you can't prove.
You can't prove it.
Well,
you can't put it on
dangerous.
paper. You can't throw it. You can't throw it on a napkin and say, "Oh yeah, this makes them better than that team." But these guys win, and they keep doing it. And maybe it's Stevie Cohen, and maybe it's Billy Epler, maybe it's Chavez,
maybe it's us. Wait, no. Maybe it's us.
Well, I know you already claimed Lindor.
No. I'm saying us.
I know.
Since we came to the fan, both teams are in first place.
That's a very good point.
Let's be honest with you.
But my point,
the Rangers are going to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, all sorts of mojo here on the TNT show.
My point is something special is going on with this Mets team, and I feel like they have a shot. I'm not saying they're going to be. They could go down in Mets history as one of the greatest teams that we've ever seen because it isn't about the individual. It's been about the team. Okay. That's amazing.
All right, let me handle a little business here before I, piece by piece, rip that apart. And I don't want to have to do this, by the way.
Please don't throw stats at me.
I'm not. I promise I won't do that to you. I won't do that to you. I won't do that to the audience. Hell, I won't even do it to myself. So it's 10:10 here on The Fan. It's the Tiki and Tierney show. And this guy's hitting me with this nonsense out of the shoe. We're inside the Town Fair Tire studio. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. First of all, I don't appreciate you.
Yes.
Putting me in a position
to defend.
No. Where I'm going to be the bad guy.
Oh, okay.
This is what this guy just did to me. Because as I illuminate the 86 team, all the people who think I hate on the Mets will hear it as me hating on the 2022 team.
Okay.
I know how this is going to go, but you know what? I got broad enough shoulders to hang.
Okay, go
That's
ahead.
fine. 877-337-6666. First of all, can you start playing some good teams?
You play who you play.
And by the way, that applies to the Yankees as well.
Well,
No, the Yankees have played the
doubt.
Orioles 13 times. It's a joke.
You're right.
The Mets have played the Phillies 14 times. The Phillies stink, and they play today will be the 10th time they played the Nats. Now, Yankee fans.
That's another conversation we need to have.
It is. I've got something a little for you later about radical realignment. I think that, I know, that Yankee fans despise when I say what I'm about to say. And again, this is not necessarily provable, but The 86 Mets team is the greatest team that I've ever seen with my own eyes. And there is for myself, no sport that I love more than baseball, and there's no sport that I know more than baseball. Not saying I'm always right. Lord knows I'm not even close to it. But fundamentally, I've got a pretty good sense of what I'm watching. And I know that the Yankees had more wins. There were some guys on that team that they were hopped up on PEDs, number one, and the division stunk, and the American League stunk. And trust me, I love the run. It was fun. But that was a weak division. The 86 Mets, see, here's what the 86 Mets had that the 2022 Mets do not. And that is a willingness, at least so far, to do whatever it takes to defend the uniform. And it's not about
what
fights.
Do you mean by
I'm
that?
going to tell you. You know how many times the Mets had fights that year? Whether it was Darryl charging Niedenfuer with the Dodgers, Ray Knight lighting up and blowing up Eric Davis at third base. Countless. Now again, it's not MMA. I get that. You either win or you lose.
And it's a different era of sport.
That's fair.
Like the athlete is different.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Like they know each other. They probably hang out and fish in the offseason.
They might.
So it's different. It's a different era.
But that team had such a distaste for losing that they would actually fight if they were losing, and they would even fight if they were winning. Now, here's the thing. I love so many components of this 2022 Mets team. I really do. But you're talking, and I'm not going to go position by position. That's boring. But let me just drop two things on you. Well, first of all, the bullpen's much better in 86. That's not even close. Orozco, great. McDowell, great. Really, really good. But the 86 Mets had one of the greatest leaders that New York sports has ever seen.
And Keith.
And Keith.
Yes.
Along with, and the greatest defensive first baseman. And listen, I love Mattingly. You know, Hernandez couldn't shine Donnie's shoes hitting when Donnie was healthy. Defensively, Hernandez the best of all time. But outside of Mark Messier and maybe one other, and I'd have to really think, outside of Mess, in my opinion, Hernandez is the greatest team captain of my lifetime, outside of Messier. So number one, you got that. Number two, you've got one of the top 2 or 3 catchers of all time on that 86 Mets team. The Mets have no catcher right now.
Okay, but I'm not talking
Gary
about
Carter,
position
the only
to
catchers.
position.
I get that. I'm not going to do position. I'm just saying the only catcher's better than Gary Carter, Johnny Bench. You want to tell me Pudge? I don't even know if what Pudge did was clean. Who knows? But definitely Bench.
I like Pudge, so let's just say
no,
he's
I do too. But I mean, I like Roger Clemens.
I played golf with him though. The other.
Does he pound it?
He does.
Does he crush it?
Yeah, but he's actually not great at golf. But he's like me. He crushes it sometimes.
He crushes
it. You just missed
Why
that one.
are you doing this? Look at the phones are lit. Here we go. Mets. That's all well and good. The Mets are fun as hell to watch.
I'll give you
86. Blasphemous.
I'll give you the
Stop.
bullpen. I mean, because I didn't realize this, so I just looked at it. BT. Jesse Orozco had 21 saves. 21 saves. He wasn't even the closer.
Exactly. Because how many times? But think about how many times the Mets obliterated people.
Yes.
Where they didn't even need a closer.
I hear you. But 21 and 22 between Orozco and McDowell.
Yeah, McDowell was very good.
So you're right. The bullpen was better. But I'm talking about the team and the idea that when Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom come back to this rotation,
if they come back,
I think
that's when we should really have this conversation.
deGrom definitely is. I think.
Well, I do too.
Yeah.
But let's hope that he's still deGrom. Let's just hope that he's still. You don't know until you see it.
But even without him, look at what they're doing.
Without him, it stopped. Now I'm going to leave the room. Forget about leaving the meeting this morning.
Think about what they're doing without them right now. And if they had them right now, maybe they get another one in San Francisco. Hell, when they go to the L.A., we don't know what's going to happen with this Dodgers series. I mean, Dodgers are the best team in baseball, maybe the best team we've seen in a couple of years in baseball. And they're not getting swept by the Dodgers, right? What happens if DeGrom and Scherzer are there? Just it makes you feel like, man, we could take 3 out of 4. Or what? I don't know how many sets they're playing, 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 with the Dodgers. It feels like with those elite pitchers back in the rotation, the Dodgers aren't as formidable as they seem right now, even though their records are very similar.
Listen, I look at the 80. I'm going to give you the 3 teams in my lifetime. Again, we were born after the Knicks won that second champion. I was actually born that summer. Mm-hmm. So, and you were born the next year.
Yep.
So we did, that's my line of delineation. Teams that I was on earth for.
Yeah, you had to see it or at least been around to be talked about it.
In our lifetime.
Yes.
The 86 Mets, the 86 New York Giants with that sick defense, and the 98 Yankees. And those are the three. Now, the 94 Rangers right there as well. You can make the Knicks. I mean, when Charles Smith missed 4 layups, that was a team but they didn't win.
But without the championship, it's hard to toss them in there.
So for you, and these are all great stories, amazing stories, probably sustainable stories.
Well, that's why I bring it up.
Even weave in the 86 Mets, I'm going to use a word for you.
Yes.
You're not going to like it.
Go ahead.
It's reckless.
It's not reckless.
It's reckless.
Because here's the thing, BT. When you think about so first of all, actually, primarily, this Mets team has to obviously win the division, which I think they're going to do and run away with.
There's no way they're not going to win the division.
Atlanta and Philly, they're just not right now. And I don't know if they're going to get right in time. So win the division, get to the World Series, and win it. That has to happen first and foremost. And this is very premature. But I bring this up because no matter who gets tossed into a position of expectation with this Mets team, they rise to it, right? And so I'm talking about the players, and you could compare position to position and staff to staff, and Buck to Davey Johnson. You could do all of that stuff.
Davey was good. Buck's better. But Davey should have won more championships.
You could do all of that, but
Buck's better.
There's a culture. And we know what the culture was like in an 86 team. It was like, all right.
Let's do 5 lines,
All right,
hammer back,
exactly.
7 shots of vodka, go home with 3 chicks, come in and beat somebody 11-2.
Let's have some chaos off the field
what they did.
and just let it roll into what we do when we get on the diamond, right?
Yes.
That's what their culture was with this 86 Mets.
Yes.
Was it sustainable? Hell no, it wasn't sustainable.
Nah, they should have won at least another.
At least another next couple of years.
Dude, they got rid of Kevin Mitchell, who won an MVP somewhere else.
It's insane. And it wasn't because he was a bad player.
No, they actually pinned it on him, but it was not him.
Yes. So, you know what my point is? That culture.
It's a loose comparison.
Was chaotic.
It was.
And this culture feels so buttoned and dialed in that whoever steps into the clubhouse is like, all right, I'm mashing today. It's my turn. I'm going to go do it. You know, I get on. I'm not a big hitter, Jankowski, but when I get on, guess what? I'm doing all those little things that make an enormous difference. It's going to help us win games. So this Mets culture makes them have the potential to be one of the best and most memorable Mets teams that we've ever seen.
Can you at least get a song?
Yeah.
I mean,
they need a new one.
Can you at least get a song before you start throwing around these ridiculous, cavalier, reckless comparisons to the 86 Mets? I mean, what was that dude's name? Ed Hearn, the backup cat. I remember Ed Hearn coming off the bench. I think it was July 4th and hitting a home run. Eddie Hearn. I mean, no matter what they did, kind of like this year's team. But come on, dude. You get a song, we have something to talk about here. All right? All right, 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan. So I got this guy telling me that this team is close, or I don't want to put words in your mouth. So give me the 5-second summation again. You do it for yourself.
They are working their way to being the most memorable Mets team of all time.
Oh my God! Discounting the incredibly uplifting '69 Mets. You got to believe. What are you doing to me? What are you doing to the show?
I wasn't born.
Ugh.
I'm keeping it modern for all those sub 50-year-old listeners out there.
God almighty, help me. All right, we'll give you a chance to listen. Can you just please attack Tiki? Can you just do my job for me? Can you attack this guy? Unless, of course, you believe this drivel. Tiki and Tierney up until 2 on the Fan.